As the nation reels in response to the death of George Floyd, peace officers share their devastation and downright displeasure of everything happening now. And joining us to share some insight on how the country can help bring about change nationwide is President of the Peace Officers Research Association of California. Brian Marvel, welcome so much. I can only imagine you have so much to share with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And we really want to be part of the dialogue. I think there's a lot of righteous anger out there, and we want to make sure that we can channel that in the direction for the positive reform that people are looking for. I think if you look at the work that we've done over the last 2 years in regards to Senate Bill 230 and Assembly Bill 392, we clearly want to be at the table and have that discussion. I think on the national level, we have a great opportunity to take the success that we've had here in California and roll it out nationally so we can have that dialogue in regards to minimum use of force standards, training, and recruitment. So we're really excited to have this opportunity to be at that table and have that discussion.
Yeah, we want to talk to you too. A lot of our Facebook friends are asking some questions, so we wanted to ask you. One of them is, when is it justifiable for a peace officer to use lethal force?
Well, anytime, we have, obviously there's policies in regards to when deadly force can be authorized. Usually it's in the protection of somebody else's life, your life, or it's a heinous crime. So officers can use deadly force. Obviously, it's one of the very last options that we would prefer not to have to use. I can tell you, no officer wants to take a life of another human being because after the incident, they still have to live with the ramifications of having done that. And it's a very tragic situation, and we all try to avoid it at all possible costs.
Do you think a different kind of training would help with that when it comes to lethal force?
Well, I think what we need is, I think right now we have some very highly trained officers. I'm an advocate. I'm a former military member. I think what we need is more opportunity for real life scenarios to where you can start to build up muscle memory. Anybody who served in the military, all they do is train, train, train. So when they actually have to go do what they do, most of it is muscle memory, and they've been through a lot of experiences. So when they've done that, it makes them make better choices when they're put in a real life situation. And I think we have a good opportunity, if this is a priority for our elected officials in Washington, D.C. and Sacramento, that they're going to provide the funding and resources to allow agencies to do that.
So let's say an officer does use deadly force. Do you think that they should have like a standardized after to follow up guidelines following that incident?
Well, that's what we were able to create with AB 392 and SB 230, creating those minimum standards. One of the other things that I would like to see nationally and also here in the state of California is a standardized use of force form, so we can actually start doing a better job of tracking incidents and with deadly force is used. And I think we can get a better picture of the reality that force isn't used as much as people think it is. And I think law enforcement, we need to send that message out. We see very high profile incidents like we've seen in Atlanta and Minneapolis, but in the grand scheme of things, that is such a minuscule amount of contacts with officers that we need to start highlighting the fact that we don't use force as often as people think we do.
So what policies do you think should be imposed across every department?
Well, I don't think there needs to be any changes in policies because I think we dealt with that over the last year. What I think we need to focus on is making sure that everybody has the adequate training necessary to go out there and do the job. Officers are thrust into a lot of situations. Pretty much a lot of the social issues that we're seeing right now and what law enforcement is dealing with has been dumped in our lap. What we need to do is we need to start looking for alternative resources in dealing with homeless people, mental health issues that isn't law enforcement related. Everybody in those circumstances, they call 911, they expect a police officer to come out and handle that situation. Maybe it's a time that we take an in-depth look at it and be like, you know what? Maybe the police don't need to respond to that homeless person. Maybe the police don't need to respond to the mental health issue. Let us deal with the violent crime. Let us deal with the crime that's out there now. And maybe there's other resources that can handle that type of stuff.
Well, thank you so much for having this conversation. A lot of viewers were really interested to hear what you had to say. So I appreciate your time and I appreciate you breaking down things from your point of view.
This interview involves commercial content. The products and services featured appear as paid advertising.